Have your parents or partner ever told you to hop off the PC and get outside? Well, mine have, and I'm sick of it. I've devised a plan to turn this ordinary electric bike into an all-in-one self-sufficient gaming bike. I'll be able to take this anywhere I want, keep it charged, and play my favorite games while pretending to do physical activity. But why, you may ask? Because why not? Now, today we're going to do things quite a bit different to normal. You guys have most likely never seen this before. And I think it's only fitting that we go with the ASRock Z790 PG Sonic motherboard. Let's just say it's not just the PC that's going to be going fast today. Now, on board this fitting motherboard, we can fit loads of NVMe drives, PCIe Gen 5 as well. It is LGA 1700 socket, so we will be pairing this with an Intel 13th Gen CPU. And on the rear I/O, we have plenty of USB, USB-C, and 2.5 gig LAN. I think it's time to get this build underway. Now, being a gaming PC, I wanted to try and keep costs down a little bit for this particular build. So the CPU we have chosen to go with is the Intel Core i5 13600K CPU. So I was able to save a little bit of money on going with this CPU because it has less cores and threads than the counterpart 13th gen CPUs. But we're not doing heavy workloads with this. We are just going to be gaming, so we don't need to spend the extra money. Let's save it and put it towards something else. Our motherboard has its own heatsink, so there is no need for this one, but this is the MP600 core PCIe Gen 4 NVMe drive. So this particular slot right here is where you would put the Gen 5 NVMe. It just means you need to unscrew this and reinstall it over in this screw hole here to change the orientation. But the way that it's set up now is perfect for our Gen 4 NVMe drive. Now, there's no reason why we chose this particular one, it's just one that we had on hand, but if you wanted to save yourself a little bit of money, you can look at the SN series from Western Digital, or even some of the older Seagate FireCuda 520 drives. They're plenty for your more budget-orientated systems, or even medium to high end. They're completely fine. So for thermal paste, we're going to put a little bit of Master Gel Maker thermal paste across the CPU. And for the cooler, we are actually going to go with an air cooler today because we're doing something truly unique with this build. So I want to try and keep the actual build process as easy as possible to make sure we don't run into any hiccups, but you guys are going to see why soon. Now, believe it or not, this CPU cooler is actually rated up there with some of the best coolers on the market. 270 watt TDP is what Montech claims. This is called the Metal DT24 Premium. Now these fans, they're not just any plain old boring RGB fan. They're actually really strong industrial fans, so I can see why there is a lot of cooling capability out of this cooler. Well, that's not going to allow me to fit the RAM in, is it? What I think we might do, because this is going to be an open build and something very different from a regular case, is we'll change the fan orientation. We'll bring this fan to the opposite side and swap this fan to the other side as well. And that'll give us a lot more room here for the RAM. Now, to keep the budget down, I actually went with some G-Skill Torrent Z RGB RAM, but I went for higher timings. There's a CL40, which technically is not the best, but I wanted to save a little bit of money where I could. I'm trying to keep this as a mid-range gaming system. You can also see moving those fans to the other side of the cooler certainly helped out. Now, this is 32 gigs, 5600 megahertz. Okay, so this bike comes pre-installed with this frame, which is going to be perfect to sit our generator on, and of course, to mount our PC to. Now, what I've done so far is just cut out a bit of cardboard. I actually went around it with the Techstar, and from here, I'm going to try and put it into my 3D program. Now, in order to put this shape in my 3D program, it's a lot harder than other people with lots of machinery and scanners that can actually do this straight away. I actually have to do something called double distancing. So I measure from one known point and from a second known point to every other point at the beginning of a curve, and that is how I can get into my program. Let me show you how I do it. So now that we have our two known points on the cardboard, we actually transferred them into our program, and I've measured every single distance from those 2 points, and where these 2 points intersect, this is one point that I need to mark on the screen, and that'll help me give my shape. so this is the tray fresh off of the lathe machine, MDF wood, and I'm choosing to use an M3 tap. I'm actually going to do it starting from the back side of the motherboard tray. Because this is MDF wood, the threading is actually a lot more fragile. Now, by going from the back end, we'll make sure that the tap screw actually threads through really well on the front end. Now, when I do add the motherboard standoffs, I am actually going to be adding a little bit of glue as well, because obviously MDF wood is not as strong as metal, but you can see here that it does thread perfectly fine. I spent some time sanding all the edges of the MDF because paint is not going to stick to all of that burnt sort of crusty wood around the outside. And now we're actually applying a wood sealer, and we'll do about 2 coats before we sand this back, because MDF actually soaks up liquid and makes it look all fluffy. So before we paint it, this wood sealer is definitely needed. A little bit of vibration pad inside of the saddle clamp. That should help with a bit of vibration. The Polinar M6 bike can actually hold up to 160 kilos, so it shouldn't be any issue with the PC on the sides, plus the generator on top, and then me sitting on it. I also made sure to add some dampening rubber vibration pads underneath all of the screws, underneath all these platforms, to make sure that we're trying to absorb as much vibration as possible. So for the power supply, I wanted something minimal and compact, something that doesn't weigh as much as an ATX power supply. So we went with this SFX RG Low-Key 750 watt power supply. 750 watts is going to be plenty for our system. Not only that, but it doesn't go over the power rating of the generator. And this is one of the specifications that I really needed to get right. If this system was eating too much power, so much that the generator couldn't keep up with it, then the whole idea wouldn't work. Not only that, but I think this is such a really good looking power supply. So for something that is open and in the environment, something you can't see that is hidden behind a power supply shroud, I think the looks are very important in this instance. This is the Intel Arc A770 GPU, and in particular, the ASRock Phantom gaming version. Now, I'm particularly excited because we haven't done an Intel Arc build ever before. This is our first ever, and these are some of the best price for performance GPUs when it comes to gaming. You will not find anything better when it comes to raw performance on the market, not for the price point. Now, the TDP of this particular GPU is 225 watts, so we still have plenty of room in terms of the power supply and the generator. And we're getting great performance while still keeping costs relatively low. But I think we'll test this system out before we actually take it out on the road. Okay, before we finish off the cable management and before we even think about putting it on the bike, I think it's important that we test out how this system performs, just to make sure the PC firstly works before we put it on the bike, because that's going to be so much extra work, which we can avoid. And just in case this does break on the bike, which, you know, could happen with all the bumps, I'd love to know its performance beforehand. So let's get Windows installed and we'll get it set up. Okay, so far setting up the card has been quite a breeze, and we're actually in the Intel Arc control, where you can manually check to see if your drivers are up to date with the green tick, meaning that of course they are. You can see all of your games, but also you can go into performance and check out the various stats of your current GPU, and you can actually enable in-game overlay so that at the top right section, you can keep an eye on your GPU utilization or its temperatures. Now, of course, if you wanted to overclock your graphics card, you can click on the performance tuning section, and then you can play around with the voltage offset and the performance boost. If you want to play around with the color of your display, you can also do that inside of the Arc Control software. Play with the hue, the brightness, and the contrast, and things like that. Over in Studio, this is where you can actually live stream directly from the Intel Arc Control, or you can record your videos. So you've got control over the resolution, the frame rate, bit rate, the audio volume, and you can also enter your streaming URL and your stream key if you plan on streaming from the Intel Arc Control. So let's see the Arc card in action. Okay guys, so dropping into PUBG, we're in ultra settings, and we have resizable bar enabled because it works really well with the Intel Arc cards. And we also have XMP Profile 1 enabled as well. Now 1440p ultra settings, we seem to be getting around that 117, 118 FPS as we run around the fields here. GPU temperature seems to be sitting around that 65 to 67 degree mark. Second kill. And the utilization seems to be around that 95 to 99% mark. Seems to be handling PUBG quite well, and it's only drawing 174 watts at the moment. Now keep in mind, this is only the 8GB version as well. Look at that, going through the field, 133 FPS. GPU temperature spiking a little more, 70 degrees, 170 watts, 99% utilization. So at the moment, my favorite game has to be Rocket League. It's a quick, easy game I could get into while I'm waiting for some paint to dry. A quick 5-minute session, maybe 2, and then we're ready for our second coat of paint. Now at the moment, we're in 1440p, highest settings that we can possibly get, 98% utilization, 162 watts, and we are getting around 213 FPS. And we seem to be dominating this game. Now, GPU temperature is sitting around 67 degrees Celsius at 96 to around 99% utilization. Okay, I want to try out some Cyberpunk 2077, and I really want to compare how the Ultra preset goes with Intel Xe Super Sampling disabled versus enabled. So let's go ahead and disable it at the moment, then we'll see how much FPS we're getting. So as you can see, at the moment, we are in Ultra settings, 1440p, and we're getting around 52 FPS. Now, this game is hitting the GPU harder than all the other games. We're at 74 degrees Celsius, 180 watts, 99% utilization. And looking at all of these signs, we're getting around 53, 52 FPS constantly. Now, what happens when we apply Intel Xe sampling at an auto level? Now, just putting it on auto takes our FPS all the way from 52 to around 62, 63. I'm even seeing 68 FPS right here. Now, Intel Xe Super Sampling actually uses AI to upscale your picture, which gives you more performance with higher image fidelity. Now, let's actually up the Super Sampling to see if we could get even more performance out of this. I can squeeze out just a little bit more FPS out of it. We're now at 71, 73 FPS, 74. Of course, going back this way, we're sitting around 72, 73 FPS. Wow, okay. So I can get the ASRock Arc A7790 Phantom Gaming. Now this is the 8GB version, for $349 from Computer Alliance. That is Australian dollars. Man, the price for performance is absolutely incredible for these cards. This is the Espresso display mount that we picked up a while back, and we've mounted it to the bike handles. Now this has rubber on it, so it's gonna help with vibration, but not only that, it is magnetized, so we can actually stick our display that we're gonna be using for playing our games on top of it, and we can also change the way that it mounts. So we have pivot back and forth, and of course, we could go down and flatten it to whatever angle we like, then put the display on. Guys, I kind of screwed up. The handlebars, I forgot to tighten them down and the whole display came crashing down. Let's take a look at it. It's definitely not looking the best, especially that top left corner, but I don't have anything else on hand to use, and it's going to take a very long time for me to send this in to get it fixed. So we're gonna have to roll with this for now, and then once the project is done, I can actually send this in and get it fixed. Oh, I'm an idiot. Well, this is my newest invention. It was actually a bit of a last minute thought because I completely forgot about the keyboard and mouse. So I've grabbed one of the pipe saddle clamps and I actually put some rubber in between it, and then I screwed that into a bit of wood. Now, on that wood, we actually have some 90-degree clamps, which catches this tray right here. This is what the keyboard and mouse will be sitting on. Now, I'm probably gonna add some type of hook or something on the bottom so that I can connect it up while I'm riding so that it's not in the way. Not that it is in the way anyway, there's plenty of leg room. And then what I plan on doing here is using a wireless keyboard and mouse. Obviously, I'm gonna have to put the DPI up a little bit because there's not enough room, but this is a fun little project. And I'll also add some mouse pad underneath the mouse. So let's go find that mouse pad and we'll see if we can glue some on. Look at that, our custom mouse mat. Not the best of cutting jobs, but we did our best. And of course, we have our mouse Oh, would you look at that, super glidey. So to power our PC, we needed something that could keep us fully wireless so the bike is actually operational. And I found this on Amazon. It's the Gentrax digital inverter. It's an 800 watt 4-stroke generator. Now this was not only one of the cheapest ones we could find, but also one of the lightest ones we could find to keep it nice and lightweight on the bike. Not only that, but it's rated for 58 decibels. So it's one of the quieter generators that you can find. Now the feet on it are actually rubber suction cups. So the rubber is going to help to dampen some of the vibrations, and the suction cups are actually going to help to keep it in place. Now, of course, we're also going to be joining it to the wooden section, so it can't fall or anything like that. Now, I know it's not completely clean power for a PC, but this is a cool little experiment, so I'm certainly excited to try it out. Now, both the bike battery and the generator will run for 6 hours. So technically, if I wanted to be riding on the bike while playing the game at the same time, they should both die at the same time. Then I could use this to charge the bike up again. The funny thing is, this is gas powered, so it kind of defeats the purpose of an electric bike, but the electric generators are just way too expensive. The Polno M6 e-bike can hold up to 160 kilos, so I don't think it's going to be an issue with the generator and the PC. Now, I know everyone's going to be cringing at the fact that we've got a PC on a bike that is going to experience a lot of bumps, but I mean, if it helps you sleep any better, the bike does have aluminium alloy air shocks, and it's got full suspension. We also used a bunch of vibration rubber in amongst this whole setup here to help reduce a bit of vibration where possible. I mean, even when we're traveling on the road, I could always unhook the GPU and then plug it back in when I'm ready to game. All right, let's open the venting. The generator switched on, turn the switch on this side, then we pull the cord. Generator's on. That seems like a lot more than 58 decibels. Switch the power supply on. Now we will install a start button, but for now we're just going to jump the motherboard to see if it all fires up. There we go. Now we're going to be looking to see if we get any display on the monitor. There we go, look at that. Wow, this is incredible. This is also a touch screen, guys, so I can move around the screen without my keyboard and mouse, but I will also have a keyboard and mouse to do all of this. I did it.
You did it.
Well, I can't exactly sign in without a keyboard hooked up, but just to show you it's touchscreen, I could go power and then shut down. It's shut down. And the PC's shutting down. Woo! Actually, I might need that. So I'm on power assist. So when I start pedaling, the bike should take off.
Hello guys, in today's video we have 5 dumbest drivers caught on camera. Coming in at number 5, we have Corey, designs by Far, who couldn't avoid the damn palm tree.
Ah, there's a palm leaf. That's really fun. Hey Dale, just going for a bike ride, you know, to keep fit. We scored. I mean, we didn't really do anything to earn that, but we scored. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed this build. This was such a fun project for us. Let us know some ideas in the comments, guys, about what crazy thing we should build next, because it may just happen. And please hit that like button and subscribe if you did enjoy something like this. It really helps our channel out. Also, a big thank you to Polinar for providing the bike for this video. Without companies like this, we wouldn't be able to do projects like this. And a massive thank you to Intel and ASRock for providing the parts for the build as well. Once again, we wouldn't be able to do projects like this, so I'll leave all the links in the video description if you guys want to go check them out. Show them some love, guys, because it helps us out and allows us to continue doing what we do. Thanks for watching. Check out this next video on screen right now. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next one.